Hello everyone, Jeff Glassie, author of Heaven is Everywhere, reporting on current developments to talk about some of the principles from the Heaven is Everywhere book. But this week something a little different. This week my good friend, mentor, the Reverend Peter Ainslie passed away. He was 80-something. He played quite a large role in my life in terms of what I learned from him. We had many, many wonderful conversations. He was a great person, one of the most spiritual people that I've ever met. Read many, many books, had many, many books. But one of the key parts of his teaching, or what he learned, or what I learned from him, was an appreciation of the mythical Jesus versus the fact that there may or may not have been an historical Jesus. This is really, really important, the key aspects of myth and what they can teach us. So I'm going to let Peter tell you a little bit about it in a video that I took of him a few years ago. And then I'll come back and just sort of wrap up. So thanks very much for listening. This is Peter Ainslie. Thanks for doing this, Peter.
Okay, Jeff, it's good to be here. I feel honored to have this privilege to speak. And I'd like to just very briefly tell about how I came to this learning. I went to two very good seminaries, one in New York City called Union Theological Seminary, and another one in Boston called Andover Newton Theological School. And I got master's degrees in both of those places, and another master's degree at Catholic University graduate school. So I had a really good academic background to say what I'm about to say. See, I was taught in all these schools that Jesus essentially was a historical being. And then I read Alvin Kuhn and Tom Harper and other people like that to question that. Was he really a historical being? In the early church, they felt he was essentially a mythical being. And what they meant by myth was a story that has a deeper sense to it, has different layers to it. It's not just a story. It's a story that has roots that reach to our psyche, different levels of our psyche. So this is a power he felt of early Christianity, was that it taught people how to get in touch with this divine dimension within them. And see, what would happen if they do this is they see the divinity in themselves, and then they see the divinity in their neighbor. They see that all people are essentially divine. And this is the power of this teaching. And it's much stronger than just thinking of Jesus as an historical being who died many years ago for our sins, who's resurrected and raised up and sits at the right hand of God. This is a teaching that there's an inner dimension, that Jesus is an inner being, and he's in each of us. All the stories about Jesus involving him like calming the waters are all metaphors to describe what happens when you feel the inner presence of Christ.
Okay, well, thanks to Peter for that, and I hope you enjoyed it. You know, when I first met Peter and learned about this, that there was not a historical Jesus, it could be treated as very challenging. I've been a Catholic all my life. I mean, my faith sort of centered around the fact that there was a Jesus who came, to earth and died for our sins, etc. But it does kind of create an emptiness or a void from which we can either have some despair, or we can go out and try to learn more and fill that area, fill that quest, that need for wanting to believe in something, to believe in something. And that's what happened to me. It was very useful, helpful information. From there I kind of rebuilt my own allegory, which is written about in this book, Heaven is Everywhere. So, thanks very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed what Peter had to say, and I'll be back. Thanks very much, everybody.